All right, we're live. I'm just gonna assume that people can hear us, and we'll just get right into it. So, Kunal, welcome, and do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, everyone. I'm Kunal Kushwaha, and what do I do? I recently graduated from India, New Delhi. A normal bachelor's computer science, around first week of July. I am an open source enthusiast. I am a content creator. I'm active in a lot of communities. I love teaching. I love going to conferences, organizing events, things like that. I work as a developer advocate at Civo, which is a cloud native service provider. And yeah, I mean, I just graduated last week, so around somewhere last week. So I'm still adjusting to the uh, graduate graduate like life, and have some exciting things planned for my future. So yeah, hopefully I'll answer some of your questions. Yeah, looking forward to
Yeah,
it. Thanks for having me, YK. Appreciate it.
yeah, I appreciate you being here. Um, our time is limited, so let's see how many questions we can get through. But I think I want to start with the job that you just mentioned as a developer advocate at Cibo. Uh, you got that job as a student, right?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was last year May. Yeah, last year May. So been 1 year. I started as an intern. I worked throughout my like junior and senior year at Civo, and I'll be joining full time now. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's a lot we can talk about there. The first natural question is, how did you get that job?
So I actually got a Google internship in North America, and then what happened was all the offers were revoked because they were not hiring people because of COVID. So I made a post about it. It got 40,000 likes on LinkedIn and around 3 million views. So a lot of people started reaching out like, oh, you have a great profile and whatever. Would you like to interview with us and all these other things? And then during that time, I got in the MLH fellowship, which was a good experience. Contributed to Facebook open source. That was nice. And then I was sort of like looking for a company sort of experience and not like a open source program for students sort of thing. Just wanted to see how that goes. So I just I just made some tweets and stuff, and people reached out, and then we got on a call, and it happened. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, social
Uh,
media and referrals and open source. Yeah.
cool. Um, okay, stepping back for a minute, how did you get that Google internship, or how did you get like the
I
initial offer?
I just applied online on the portal with a referral. I actually did a podcast with my Google recruiter also. There she mentioned everything about how the COVID situation messed things up and stuff. But it was a good experience. I learned from the interview process and I got good feedback, so that was good. But nothing really special I did. I just applied on the portal with a referral, gave my interviews. I think there was an online coding round and then phone screen and then 2 3 coding rounds, if I remember correctly. And then in the end there's a project pool section, and that's the end stage. So I just applied normally with a reference. That's it.
Nice. Um, I think I actually want to step back even more. How did you get your first, paid job, or how did you make your first dollar as a student?
Ooh. Um, at the end of my freshman year, I started volunteering at local programming boot camps as like teaching assistant. India has a big tech culture of like tech startups. So I was just I started doing internships there. I don't know how much I got paid. It was around $350 for 2 months. Um, so yeah, that's how I started. I sort of like gained a lot of experience in Indian tech startups. That's why I'm really good at teaching. So I know the ins and outs and about how these guys work and what makes them special, why people buy their courses. Um, so I worked at these startups for like a few months, and then I got into like open source, mostly like Google Summer of Code, and then Linux Foundation programs, then MLH fellowship. Then I worked at MLH for 1 year. Something I was in the core team. I actually reviewed the most MLH fellowship applications and interviews, coding interviews that I did, around 3,000 plus. So great program. Not a plug, but genuinely, if you are looking for something, all these programs are nice. But yeah, that's basically about it.
Right. Yeah, I
Even
feel
back
like.
now,
Oh, say again.
even back now.
Uh, yeah. Nah. I think we're all good.
Just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I was gonna say, I think sometimes people miss that you need to start where you can. I remember,
Oh,
sort of my first paid job as a student was like a minimum, basically like a minimum paid job as a math tutor, and
yeah.
that's all I could get, and that's it. That's
But
all I
the
did.
experience counts. You get to teach a class. I remember there was a class of like 60 people, and sometimes they let me like teach entire lectures also, which was nice. And I definitely got a lot of teaching skills out of it, if not a lot of money.
Yeah, I think the experience counts. It's something you can put on your resume, and
Yeah.
that's how everyone starts.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think I can start going backwards now. How did you get that Google Summer of Code internship, and like, do you have any advice
Mhm.
for people who want that?
Yeah, GSOC is not that difficult to get into. So it's an internship alternative by Google. You contribute to open source projects, some of the largest ones in the world. Around, I think, 200 plus organizations take part. So in my freshman year, when I was starting out, I thought GSOC was a really big thing. Firstly, because the price was like the stipend was a lot for an Indian student. I think around $3,000, and then um, my college seniors and everyone on YouTube, they were saying, "Oh, Google Summer of Code, do it. You'll get a job at Google. Oh, it's the best thing you can do for your career. Very difficult to get into." And then I sort of like did not know about it that much. I was actually looking for open source projects to contribute to because I attended an event in New Delhi, and there I learned about open source, and I just started contributing to the Kubernetes Java client by Red Hat middleware. And I just started with some documentation and then some so simple code changes and things like that. And then the maintainers were like, "Hey, we have participating in some of code, check it out." And then I applied and I got selected in my freshman year itself with Red Hat middleware, working on Kubernetes Java client. So really big project, not at all like simple, pretty complex code base, but I learned on the go, asked good questions, and worked a lot hard. You know Waka time.
No.
So Waka time is like it manages your keystrokes and it tells you how much hours you have coded. So during my GSOC period, I was world rank 8 on that.
Hmm.
I did a lot. I did a lot of coding. I finished my GSOC project in like um, to in like a more than 1.5 months, and it's like a 2-3 month long period. So it was a good experience. I remember still now how hard I worked for that, but it was a rewarding experience because then got into this field. And um, GSOC was, I think, like even if you do open source contributions without GSOC and these programs, it's still beneficial. You can still put it in your resume if you have a good PR merged or whatever. I think that's fine. You don't have to be like it's not like I only need to do GSOC in order to contribute to open source. That's not the case. Yeah, but I got in. It was a fun, and then I didn't do it again. I mentored in the same organization, Red Hat, for 2 years for Google Summer Code and 1 year for Google Coding.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Based on what you said, that you got Google Summer of Code, because you were already doing open source work, and then you basically just needed to say, "I'm already doing this, and I can continue doing this," right?
Yeah, that's like a best practice. If you want to get selected in GSOC, try to start early. Maintainers would um, prioritize students who are active contributors.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, yeah, and how did you go from that to the next step? GSOC to the next thing.
Yeah, after that, I think after that, a few months after that, I got to attend KubeCon on a scholarship right after GSOC because my project were related to K8. So I got a scholarship by the Linux Foundation. I went to San Diego. That was fun. Met folks at KubeCon. Attended the contributor summit at KubeCon, and then sort of like MLH fellowship happened, and then I got involved in the CNCF. I'm a CNCF ambassador, um, and I feel really blessed to be a part of this community and be recognized in this community. When I was at KubeCon last, like in May in Spain, all the big minds in tech and the big faces of cloud native, they were like, they're coming up to me and they're like, "Oh, Kunal, appreciate the work you do. A great YouTube channel, great vlogs, and things like that." Um, so it has been amazing, and uh, it's just that you do good work in public, you'll get recognized. It's very amazing journey. Yeah. Then
Nice.
COVID came.
Oh yeah. Um,
So COVID
yeah.
was like just at home. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different thing, right?
Whole different thing. Mm.
Yeah. And just quickly, CNCF, that's cloud native, right?
Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Yeah.
Is that like it's a foundation?
Yeah, it's an organization, has various members associated with it. It has a lot of projects in it, so companies choose to donate their projects to the CNCF. Like Kubernetes was donated by Google in 2014, so it's a relatively new tech. So companies choose to do that. There's an entire CNCF landscape that you can look at, which has a lot of projects categorized. I spoke at KubeCon as a student, speaking at KubeCon 2 3 times. I just could not have asked for a better career. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot that you've done. Um, I think I want to ask you more about like time management, but first of all, going back again,
Time management, you can talk about it. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
but yeah, before that, I think some people have asked me like, how do you deal with a big code base when you start, contributing to open source? Because it might be
Mhm.
pretty like overwhelming for beginners.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't have to know the entire code base. The most the biggest mistake that students make is they find a project to contribute to, they look at the code base, they feel overwhelmed, and then they leave. They're like, "Oh, this won't, I can't work with this." If you just Google Fabricate IO Kubernetes Java client, that is a project I contributed to in freshman year. If you check that right now, check the code base, overwhelming for someone who is a student and who does not like, who's just starting out with coding. I think instead of running from it, it's a good thing that you found a project like this. This is a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I believe that in the student community, there is no such thing as imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome means I don't know something, and they know something. The people I work with, correct, YK? Is that what imposter syndrome is? Like I don't know something, and people
Yep.
know something, yeah, right?
Yep.
You feel like you lack knowledge or whatever.
Yep.
I think imposter syndrome basically, instead of that, you should look at it. I'm a very optimistic person. I try to find silver lining in everything. So I think with this scenario, it's like I know something else and they are working on something else. So I'm not denying that the existence of imposter syndrome, but I'm saying that it's a good thing in the student community because if you're just a student, you're just starting out, no one expects you to know stuff that much. If you're a student who are just starting out, you don't know about Kubernetes, no one would be surprised. So if you find yourself in a place where you see a project or a contribution or whatever, and you don't know much about the tech stack, that's a great thing for you as a student because you'll get to learn and contribute now, right? What if someone gave you a job? All you have to do is implement binary search. Just implement binary search. That's it for 6 hours a day. Would that be really beneficial to you? No. Learn something new. Go out of your comfort zone. Your college years are all about exploring, and one thing folks have to realize when they see big code bases, it's not going to happen overnight. It will take a few months. Clone the repository, run it on your local system, look at the test cases, look at the architecture of the project, how the things are working, what are the various components. If it's a huge code base, it's like divided into modules and packages. Check out good first issues, The maintainers can help you, guide you towards like a particular package or whatever. So you don't have to know the entire code base in order to contribute.
Yeah, thank you for that. I feel like that's like a big question, and you know, it could easily be like a separate video too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, if you could like share your screen, kind of walk through some of your like workflow, you know, you're welcome to do that too. But
Yeah. What workflow of GitHub?
oh, like you know, like an example of like, say a beginner is looking at a new open source project, they're overwhelmed.
Okay, I can. Yeah, I can do that.
Sure.
Let me just hide a few things.
Yeah, sounds good.
No, just it's a Slack, company Slack,
Oh yeah, yeah, no worries.
and some announcements I haven't made yet. All right. GitHub.
And okay,
Can you
I
see
see
my
the
GitHub?
screen. Yes.
So actually, Summer of Code with Google.com is a great website to find open source projects. You don't have to do GSOC, but you can check out the organizations you want to contribute to. So like you can search, let's say, okay, I want to contribute to Java. Just search for Java, and you will find projects that use Java. How cool is that? This is like a really big list. You can see 110 projects, 110 organizations for Java, and every single organization would have their own like projects, number of projects. So like big ones, Chromium is there. So many. My JBoss would also be here. Rocket Chat is here. Somewhere you'll find JBoss. Ceph is here for storage. OpenWays, Postgre. So you get the idea, and you can also filter from here. So this is a great resource to find open source projects. Apart from that, you can check out CNCF/mentoring. They also have some projects if you want to contribute to open source in CNCF. CNCF has their own landscape. Here you can see CNCF landscape. So these are all individual projects. I can get a little bit overwhelming to like navigate these, but I spoke at KubeCon at a panel on navigating the CNCF landscape, but putting us on track. If I just give an example of the project I contributed to only, um, where is it? So this one, right? Um, what you can do is first of all like clone it or whatever, fork it, and read the documentation, run it on your local system, check out the test cases, things like that, and check out the beginner friendly issues. Go to issues and check out good first issue labels. Should be having it somewhere here. Good first issue. Right now there's one, but this is a good example because if you don't find good first issues on GitHub, you can join the mailing list or Slack community or whatever they're using. They are using what are they using? Gitter. So you can join Gitter. I'm not saying to join this project. I'm just giving an example, and then you can put, "Hey, I'm beginner. Do you have any beginner friendly issues I can contribute to or whatever?" And just follow the community guidelines. Don't spam anyone. As you can see, this is the project I contributed to. It's a really overwhelming. Like as a student, this does not make any sense to many people. But if you want to check my PRs, you can go to closed PRs, author Kunal Kushwaha. Um, so as you can see, this particular example it's a very how I started. So just some refactoring. That's it. And some documentation and refactoring stuff. See, nothing major. And from that, I started with like adding tests and adding support for new resources. So this is like the big contribution type thing. Obviously, took me some while, around 10,000 lines of changes, a lot of Java code here. So it takes time, but I showed you, how basic stuff I started with. Um, so yeah, it takes time. Take your time. Is what I'd recommend. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think, you know, coming back to this question again, the thing beginners see when they see a big code base is this like just big chunk of code. and they're like, oh, there's so much stuff going on. Like, do I read this file
Break it
first?
down.
Or like, yeah, and
Ask
maybe
questions, break it down.
yeah, they might feel like they need to kind of read the whole thing or whatever. I think that's what where this question is coming from.
Yeah, no, it's a valid question. Thanks for asking that. Whoever asked that.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you about time management then, because it seems like you've done a lot of internships, open source, schoolwork, supposedly. Um, so like, how do you manage all of those?
I think time management is it's like a lot of discipline comes with it, but you have to see what your priorities are. Um, I am not the best person for time management because I've burnt out pretty badly in the past. Um, the thing students specifically, if you're talking about them, what they struggle with is managing college and all these other things, right? Um, I think a college plays a big role in it. Some colleges take a lot of your time. Mandatory lectures, like you have to attend 75% of all the lectures, and then you have to, um, do some assignments and all these other things. And YK, I'm not saying like good assignments. In India, they are like they will give you a sheet, right? And they will say copy this sheet, it's 10 pages in a book. Just copy it. That's what the kind of assignments we get. Not like here's an interesting question, solve it. No, just copy pasting. So you have to like work accordingly to save your time. um, I think COVID sort of like helped a little bit with this, giving students a little bit more time, that they were, things were remote, classes were remote, so they could do whatever they wanted. um, but yeah, with time management, it's important to prioritize your tasks. There's a thing I recommend you checking out, Eisenhower metrics. Have you heard of it, YK?
No, what is it?
I think it's called Eisenhower metrics. You can Google it and share your screen. So basically, the idea is that there are four quadrants: um, urgent, not urgent, important, not important. So something that lies in not important and not urgent, I will just not do it. Something that is important but not urgent, I will schedule it for the future. Something that is important and urgent, I'll do it ASAP. And also, it's important to say no, like learn how to say no. I would love to help out. I would love to answer all your questions on all your DMs, but I would love to make all the courses that I taught in tech companies. But it's just that so much time takes. It takes so much time, and um, it's not like I'm asking you for like money that I owe you stuff. So you have to learn how to say no, and um, make sure you don't burn out, take care of your health, and prioritize your tasks. The one thing with time management as a student was that I follow a pi shape or T shape learning, whatever you want to call it. Know everything about something, something about everything. um, I did not focus that much as a student on being an expert. I don't call myself an expert like right now even. I'll try to get some more certifications or whatever, now that I've graduated. But I focused a lot more on applying the things that I've learned, that I'm learning, um, be that with DevOps or like web dev or machine learning, whatever. Contributed to projects, created a course on it or whatever, gave a webinar, conducted a conference event, um, wrote a blog. So I think as a student, that was very rewarding for me, because as a student, no one expects you to be an expert. They expect you to have an open mind and have the willingness to learn. Um, but yeah, so I think yeah, that's basically about it. um, don't be stuck in tutorial hell, and manage your time well. um, Apply whatever you're learning. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think saying no is pretty big for a lot of people. Even
Yeah, a lot.
yeah, I remember even among students on Twitter in particular, I see people saying, "Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna post stuff for a while." But I always say like, never apologize for not posting free stuff. It's free in the beginning anyway.
It's free, and that's the whole point. Plus, I don't think there is a lack of resources. I just think there's a lack of how to find resources, good resources. Yeah, you can learn
Yes.
anything you want online, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Um, okay. And I'm curious. Like, you mentioned burnout. What was it like? How did it happen? How did you get out of it?
It happened when I started creating my boot camps, the DSA boot camp stuff. A single video. So I can say this even confidently right now. The the course is ongoing, but the topics I have covered till now, like the complete recursion playlist, object-oriented programming, and all the Java stuff that I've covered, according to me and apparently 1,000 students, um, that content-wise and quality-wise, it is not available on YouTube. Period. But the thing is that the reason for that is I've done a lot of research, and I always say to people, don't trust me when I say this. You watch it yourself, and then you're the one to decide. Um, the thing is that with burnout, a single video is like too in depth. It's more than it should be, and it takes me an entire day to create one data structures video, and that's when I burnt out pretty badly, because I work at Civo as well, so that's obviously my priority. And um, and yeah, I started just focusing on my mental health and my personal well-being and my career as compared to other people, because I did not have a Kunal when I was in college, so why do you need one? uh, if that makes sense, right? Um, I see all these amazing people who are getting jobs and students contributing to open source, going to events around the world. They're not watching my content. Why can't you do it then, right? And this is what bugs me with most content creators. They're like, "Oh, follow me, and I will help you or whatever." I'm saying don't be dependent on me. Leave me alone. I'm very busy. If you have a question, go join a community or um, uh, join a community based on whatever tech stack you like, ask questions in public or whatever. So in the end, I'm helping you only by making you realize that you don't need to be dependent on one person. I know my course is amazing. I know it's the best, but I also need to prioritize my health. Having said that, I'll complete it. Don't worry, because I need subscribers as well. And I know once I complete the DSA bootcamp and machine learning, I'll cross a million very soon. So I obviously want a million subscribers on YouTube. Uh, so I'll complete it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I totally relate to that, especially with like data structures and algorithms. I made a bunch of videos on those. It takes a lot of time to make each
A lot of
one.
time.
Yeah, and sometimes I think people don't realize how much work it takes. Just like preparing, editing the video, recording all of that.
It's like now that I've graduated, there are two communities I can focus on. One is the student community, and one is the more professional community. So my experience with the student community outside India, like in the MLS fellowship I was a pod leader in the MLS fellowship for the Facebook's production engineering track. So I mentored students who were in the US time zone. Some of the best students I have met in my life. I love them, great people. But whenever I interacted with someone who was here in India, I don't want to say I don't want to generalize it, but it's just not, the quality is not there, both in terms of the questions and the way people perceive it. It's like so many toxicities here in the community. You can't share about your salary, people will look down on you. You can't share about the good work you do in public, people will think you're boasting. On the other hand, the same cultural difference outside India is like, learn in public, be open about it, discuss your salary with your employer. So that sort of like made me realize that, okay, why should I care if the community is so weird? Like, I'm going to focus more on things that reward me, which is professionals. So that's why I started Cube World, where I'm doing more and more DevOps content on my channel, more and more DevOps related podcasts, going to events like I'm speaking at DevOps World this year in Florida, Container Days. I'm going to DevOps Days in Israel, KubeCon. I was speaking at KCT Berlin. So yeah, that's sort of like my priority, because I my priority for me is my career. Um, and I'm helping the student community with the way I can. Like, I'm giving you all funds for KubeCon travel. So we are having scholarship fund. like we will be covering your flights and hotels. So I'm doing that good community work. I'm coming up with a open source initiative like Google Summer of Code sort of a thing that will help you. I'm doing nice podcasts, nice DevOps related content. So if I as a student can teach you these things and about these communities, then can you as a student not consume this content? um, but again, you are not missing out on anything because I'm not the end of the world. Please stop thinking like that. Get involved in communities and you will get all your answers. Don't be dependent on me. You can consume the content that I'm posting, but you are in no place to request.
No, totally get that, and I think it's good that you're prioritizing yourself, but at the same time, you're doing your best to help students, and hopefully this live stream is part of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So another common question I got for you, from Twitter is, how do you motivate yourself? Because there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Motivate as in? Like for
Like,
what?
how do you motivate yourself to do like all this open source work and kind of
Hmm.
your job at the same time, and college work, all of that.
Yeah, college is over, thankfully. Um, the motivation with me comes with I'm not a huge believer in motivation, um, and it does not mean you should not be. Okay, it's a very individual person thing, so don't take my word for that. Um, I mostly focus on action items. Starting from my freshman year, I had um, I had a notes list in that I created 8 columns, first sem, second sem, third sem, till eighth sem, and then in every column I listed down some goals. Um, and then I sort of like wanted to make sure I'm on the right track. So I took guidance from people who are active in the global community. Also, in India, there's a lot of discrimination. So I sort of like identified those discriminations and was away from it. Like, okay, I don't want to do that. Um, and then with the motivation part, it's just like, you know, as a student, I needed a job, you know, needed to pay my bills, have a good life, travel around the world, do things I like, and stuff like that. So that's what sort of like the motivation for me. Like, okay, I need a career, need to support my family or whatever. It has been amazing journey, and I owe it to open source and the people in the community who have like shared about their experiences or whatever. So you can call it motivation if you want, but for me, it was more like a plan. Um, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think like making money is a big motivation for a lot of people,
It's
and
people need money, right?
yeah,
What's wrong with that? They
yeah,
need
nothing
money.
wrong with that. Yeah.
It's so weird when people say, when you say that I'm in for the money, and then some people call you out. Oh, you are in tech for money, not good. Oh, shut up. It's totally fine if someone is doing tech. To be quite frank, money is not the priority for me. I've turned down offers worth 200,000 US dollars and more, um, because I know that in case things don't work out with what I'm doing right now, I am capable. All I need to do is send one message, and I'll have a job. Um, so I know that I'm capable. So money is not always the driving factor. If it is for you, great. For me, it's second priority. I mean, the first priority right now is doing extraordinary things, which is why startups.
Nice. By the way, I think we have 14 minutes left.
No worries.
Yep. Thank you. Really appreciate you being here again. I see everyone in the chat. Thank you everyone for being here, and hello everyone. Yeah, I think another common question I get is, how do you go from doing open source work to getting a job from it, or like how do you or is it even the right way to look at it, or should people just like contribute to open source because it's something they can learn from and then not expect a job from it?
Um, I think if you're doing open source to get a job, that's 100% fine, and I recommend doing that. It's totally cool. There are many companies who offer full-time roles that you need. Like a full-time role is actually contributing to open source. Even at Civo, we do a lot of open source work, collaborating with open source projects. We have the marketplace app, community collaborations, business collaborations. So open source is supporting businesses as well. And if you're doing it to get a job, or your aim is to get a job via open source as a student, yeah, you're on the right track. Go for it, because there you have proof of work. You have your code base online available. You make connections. So most of the people who are contributing to open source obviously work at companies, so they can refer you or they can hire you in your own company. That's sort of like how I got an offer from Red Hat also. I contributed to Fabricate.io, and I got an offer um, from Red Hat at the end of my sophomore year. So they did not hire second year students, but they made an exception for me. I did not take that because I did the MLS fellowship then, but um, but yeah, definitely you can get roles via open source, and especially remote roles as well, because your proof of work matters quite a lot. So to answer your question, YK, yeah, if you're doing it for jobs or internships, yeah, no worries, keep it up.
Cool. Um, all right. I think we're getting some questions about
Yeah, let's do
content.
rapid fire.
Yeah. Um, we're getting some questions about like content creation tips,
Yeah, go ahead.
for
Mhm.
beginners. Um, yeah, like how do you grow on Twitter and YouTube?
So Twitter is I think there's already a lot of content. Shout out to Eddie, Francisco. I have lost count on how many spaces and videos they have done on this particular topic. So you can YK does Twitter spaces. YK has some threads on how to grow on Twitter, so we won't like bore you with that. But um, with YouTube though, I gained 0 to 100 in 3 months. Um, I think for me it was word of mouth, and it was because of my data structures course. Um, um, People were starting getting jobs after watching the videos, and purely it was word of mouth. To be more specific, I utilized my network, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, like just posting really good content. um, I think if you post great content, you would not have difficulty in growing on YouTube. Definitely. Also, if there's content out on something already, you can still make content on that topic. People don't watch what you do, they watch how you do it. There are, I don't know, 100 plus DSA courses on YouTube, and every day I get requests, Kunal, please complete yours. Please complete yours. Um, because people are addicted to the way that you teach at a particular point of time. So be extremely good at what you do. And second route is, you don't have to be really good at what you do. You can just do, like, share your experiences, do podcasts or whatever. um, get some interesting people on your channel. Non-code, like if you don't code, so like, Kunal, I don't code, I can't teach, does it mean I can't have a YouTube channel? No, that's not true. You can get other people on your channel. They can share their experiences, you can create value. um, yeah, but just, if you provide value, you will grow. That's a very simple statement.
Yep. Thanks for that. And yeah, I'll try to go through some more questions. This one is, how do you stay motivated while coding?
It's habit now. Like, I like doing it. So um, I think if you enjoy something, yeah, I enjoy learning new things. So I was able to grasp a lot of fields, because I like to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to find something you like to, because when this person says coding, could be anything.
Could be anything.
Yeah, they might not like one aspect of coding, but if they try something else, they might like it. So it's probably important to try different things.
Cool, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So we've been going for like 40 minutes. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. We have 8 more minutes, so I'm happy to answer questions in the chat.
Sure. Let me take this one. What's developer advocate role like in general?
Yeah, I won't tell you like the definition part, but if you like communities, if you like like content creation, if you like engaging with people, you can get into a DevRel role. Um, it's 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 not marketing. That's the wrong term. It's more like building connections and trust. So there are two roles to developer advocacy. One is the internal developer advocacy within your team, and one is the outward developer advocacy. So you have to work with both. Day to day, load looks something like maintaining open source projects, documentation, um, going to events, staffing the event booth, creating content, um, community feedback, surveys, maintaining open source projects. Mentioned that already. Um, I think most developer advocates, like at least in startups, the role is a little bit more like it's not like just dedicated. At least at like Civo, we have advocates who also do like other work, like coding related, like more of the development related stuff. They help out uh, in these things. I haven't worked in a big tech company. I don't know how that functions internally, but startups give you much more flexibility. So if you like advocating about technology, um, demoing products, um, creating content, documentation, open source, um, yeah, you can try develop advocacy. Yeah.
All right. Let's just go to the next one. How to get a remote job? This is like a big question, but yeah, let's try it.
That's a good question. The first thing is you have to be skilled, and because when you reach out to someone, they will look at your profile, they will ask you some questions or whatever. So be skilled. Have something to showcase: projects, GitHub, personal portfolio, whatever you want. And then just reach out to people. That's first step. um, in my case, people will reach out to you if you do great things, but don't take me into consideration because I am like now popular like on social. So you get it. You reach up. If someone, so many people know you and you've been active in the community, you get roles. And I'm not denying that. I've gotten quite a lot because of it. um, but for like a person who is not that active on socials, um, have a good portfolio, at least a developer portfolio. Reach out to people, go to events and conferences, there network with people, check out the project boards. Many companies have their own project boards. You can check that out, apply directly from there. If you find someone who works at that company, you can take a referral, and that's it. Yeah.
Cool. That's pretty simple. And yeah,
It's pretty
just wanted
simple.
to quickly mention, building a social media presence. It's not that hard, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like honestly, anyone can do it. So that's
it's
not
not
like
that
a
hard,
huge
but
thing.
yeah, it's not that hard. But over my course of college, I have found two people, right? Two types of people. One who are really good at social media and get jobs. One who are really good at development and get jobs. Um, Both are good. Whatever works for you, go ahead. Because as
Yeah,
a student, people would expect you to be open-minded and learn new things. So you have that time to, explore and build yourself. But yeah, always be up for trying new things.
yeah, yeah. Personally, I've done both, so I can definitely speak to that. Okay, let's actually uh, do the last question. Okay, I'm just looking for the comment here, but the question was, how do you get better at reading other people's code faster?
It also depends on the other person. To be quite frank, um, I remember there was a guy in the fellowship. His variable names were like so big. You read the variable name, you would know what it does. So I think just practice. You can review code. That would help you. Ask questions, and just we can do another session on code qualities and code reviews. Shout out to Seema, by the way, Matt. He has some great content on code reviews. I did a session with him also on code reviews on my YouTube channel actually. So you can check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of have a quick comment about this.
Hmm?
It takes practice. Open source is a really good
Yeah.
way to practice that. It takes a lot of patience to sometimes you can just try different things, like obviously clone the repo, try change different things to see what happens. You can do those things, but ultimately it's about like being patient, reading. Sometimes you need to read line by line, and you need to break things down. You need to ask yourself, like, do you understand this line? What about this line? What about this line? If you take it slowly, people should be able to get it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
All right. Any last words?
No, just there are millions of developers in the world, so everyone has a different roadmap. So please stop asking questions like, what's the roadmap? Just follow all the good practices. Work hard. You are very privileged that you work in tech, or you are studying tech, or you want to get a job in tech, because there are so many opportunities. You can get remote jobs. You can get in-person jobs. If you don't get a job, you can have your own business. You can freelance if you don't want a job. There's so many things you can do if you just have the right skills. So take advantage of it, and good luck. And ask questions in public. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think asking questions in public is kind of underrated.
Hmm.
Especially on Twitter, you can just tweet a question, tag a bunch of people, and like even before you ask, you can search on Twitter too.
Yeah,
Obviously on Twitter, Google, YouTube, use all the search you can use, and then you should be able to find something like before ask yourself.
yeah, agreed. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Kunal. I think you need to go. And thank you, everyone, for being here too. And I see all the chats. Obviously, we can't respond to everything, but really appreciate everything here.
But now you know where to ask your questions, so you can get those answers.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
Kunal.
Bye.